Welcome dear Patreons to the June edition. It's the 1st of July. I apologize I'm late for my video. I was moving shop and apartment. Actually I'm still doing. It's a blazing hot day in Austria. But I still wanted to bring you this video as soon as I can. So there's going to be of course another one coming in July. So thank you very much for your support on patreon.com. It is absolutely necessary for my YouTube channel to keep it running, because it needs a lot of work. Last month in June, I uploaded a pretty long video about forging axes with my friend Nick Westerman in Wales. As you can imagine, there was a lot of work going into that video, just filming the entire process between the runs, between the heats, between the hammering, the grinding, etc, etc. So it's definitely all together, including the traveling and everything you can imagine. How many hours are in this video, but I'm absolutely stoked to bring these kind of videos to you, and you make these possible, so thank you very much. Now let's just stay with the topic of axes for this video today, because we also released a third carving axe this month that I'm extremely happy about, and I called it the Karelia. It is basically my answer to my fascination that I've had for such a long time with the socketed axes that you find in parts of Scandinavia throughout time, and the Baltics, in Russia as well. These axes have been cancelled and discontinued pretty much by everybody a long time ago because they were so difficult to forge, but the people who are using them, I still use my Bilnes and Kelokoski that are probably 50 or 60 years old, a lot. They're very intriguing axes with the socket, with this upswept pole, and we took about half a year of going back and forth finding a way to make this axe work, because it is a rather heavy axe. However, it is very light for its size and weight. It feels very light because of the balance, and that is exactly what we had to work with to make this work, because they can be very head heavy. Now this is a heavy axe. It's coming in around 1 kilogram, give or take. And the question that we're having today is, why am I choosing these and designing these rather heavy axes? What are all the advantages of heavy axes, and why do I say that you should use the absolute heaviest axe that you can handle? It is a gorgeous piece. 52-100 ball bearing steel. And other than that, the handle and a lot of the other features are coming from my absolute all-round axe, the Journeyman, which is also rather in the heavy realm, around 820, 850 grams, but also balances beautifully, feels a lot lighter in hand than what it should be. So why is that, and what are the advantages of that? When it comes to axes, then the weight for me, I categorize it in two different directions. There is an objective weight, or like a universal weight, I want to call it, and then there is what I call a relative weight. So universal and relative. What are these two weights, and how are they put together? The universal weight is always going to be the same, because the universal weight is the mass weight of the axe, and we have gravity that is always going to be the same for everybody in the world. And then we of course have the density of the wood. So if I'm taking, for example, a piece of birch that was recently cut, I'm taking an axe that weighs 1 kilogram, and I'm having the gravity that's always going to be the same. I have staples that never change. So an axe of a certain weight falling from a certain height into wood of a certain density is always going to have the same result, no matter who's using it and who's swinging that. So in that regard, a heavier axe is going to do more labor, it's going to do more work. The relative weight is what this axe is in relation to you as a person. So I am 85 kilograms, whatever, like 190 pounds, give or take. I have a lot of experience using axes, certain techniques, using my whole body, trying to be efficient. I can use a 1 kilogram axe and it does a lot of work for me. It works for me because I also designed it in a way that is balanced on the backswing. That's always the thing with the axes. the proportions that I'm putting into these, all of them are backed up with reasoning. So it's not just another Viking looking carving axe that just looks cool, but the proportions, the place of the pole, how deep the beard goes, the distances, the weight distribution, the handle of, the length of the handle, the radius of the blade in relation to the handle. None of these things are just accidental. All of them are with reasoning, with testing, and for reasons that I've found out over the years using so many different axes, new ones, old ones, refurbishing my own, forging my own, etc., etc. So with every swing we have to do with an axe, there is also a backswing, right? And the balance point along the handle, as well as the balance point within the head, if it balances like this, or if it balances like my axes usually do horizontally, except for this one, for a good reason as well, I always have to, whenever I do an axe blow, I also have a backswing. And this backswing is occurring as often as the swinging forward or dropping the axe into the workpiece. So if the balance is poor, a heavier axe, or even a light axe, can become very cumbersome and heavy and inefficient and fatiguing just because the balance is placed in the wrong part of the axe. But then as soon as I am propelling the axe forward, the difference is the lighter the axe is, the more acceleration I need. And because of that, lighter axes can become very fatiguing because I need to accelerate them a lot. Gravity and the mass of the axe itself are not doing as much stock removal damage or like effect in the workpiece, because that is always the same. Fresh birch will always have the same density, and like fresh cherry will always have, give or take, the same density. So those are factors I can't change. Those variables I can't change. What I can change is the weight of the axe. Gravity I cannot change neither. So what I'm trying to get at is that an 850 gram axe might be, relative to a smaller person, a smaller guy, a smaller woman, a child, a student, might be very heavy in a relative weight, while it is in the ultimate weight or the universal weight, it's not as heavy as this one, so it will not do as much effect. I'm achieving to get where I want to go with this. The reason why I want to use the heaviest axe possible for me personally is because the universal weight is what I'm trying to get to. The axe working for me. Even if I'm a lighter person with less muscle mass, for example, I can still use the right technique to lift an axe up using my hips, using my legs, using my upper body, standing up like that, which is proper axe technique. And then with safe technique, I can literally drop the axe without much acceleration, without much muscle of my forearm. I can just drop it, and a heavier axe is going to result in more effect. The efficiency for me in axe work is pretty simple. There is going to be the effect divided by the labor. So the higher the effect, the smaller the labor, the bigger the efficiency. So the bigger the effect with a heavier axe, and I can keep the labor rather small, because with one blow of this axe I can remove as much material as, for example, with an axe that weighs half of this. We have our axes out as well in 600 grams, which is a very efficient axe still because of the head design, but it's significantly lighter than this, and I probably need 3 blows with my Wayfarer before I'm getting to 1 blow of this. So yes, it is heavier, but still 1 blow is going to be a lot less labor than lifting and dropping the axe 3 times with a lighter axe, and then also have to accelerating with the forearm, using the muscle, wearing out the joints. So that is one advantage, just the overall efficiency. Another huge advantage is if I'm having a heavier weight propelled forward by gravity and a little bit of my own acceleration, if the mass weight is higher, according to Newton's laws, it is going to be more difficult to push this axe off its path, which means these axes that are heavy are way more accurate, which makes them safer. An axe that of this weight, about 1 kilogram, that is a rather heavy carving axe, if I'm pushing it in a certain direction, it's going to have the inertia and it wants to keep going on this path. So nothing I do really with my fingers, which should be ideally, of course, the Tenouchi system of carving, which you also can learn on my Boon TV course. The fingers should not affect the path of the axe too much, but whatever I'm doing here, whatever torquing the grip, using the wrong finger pressure on my forearm, forefinger and my thumb, for example, that can push the axe off the path, and that means I'm missing where I want to hit. Happens very much. However, lifting a heavy axe like that and dropping it to where I want it to go, the inertia is going to make sure that these axes are way harder to push off in any type of direction, because they want to remain in that direction. They want to remain in movement, and they want to remain on the path. It's called hasuji in Japanese, which is the angle of the cut, and just keep it aligned with the blade along the path that you're intending. So this is another very big advantage. So we have efficiency, safety because of the accuracy, and of course accuracy, like I just said. And those are the main reasons. There's a couple more, but those are the main reasons why I promote using the absolute heaviest carving axe that you can handle, and rather learn to use proper technique and use your whole body as a unit, rather than only the wrist or only the elbow or only the shoulder or only the arm, but just use your entire body as a unit, where you're lifting the axe. You always need to do the backswing, but then on the cut itself, without having to really accelerate and use a lot of force and wearing out your joints, you can just drop it with the right technique and your whole body weight into the cut. And you see a lot of professional spoon carvers do that, where they're really thinking through their axing techniques, which is allowing them to keep working longer without any inflammation in their joints, without any injury, and get a lot of work done with the least amount of effort. And this is why we're using heavy carving axes. If you're interested in finding out more about these, the Journeyman and the Karelia, and of course the Wayfarer as well, you find very detailed descriptions on woodsmansfinest.com in the steel, and then in the steel section, and you find carving tools and axes. The Karelia is all new, and we have a promotional code on them right now. And stay tuned as well, because today I'm going to be announcing the first hook knives in our hook knife line, which have been as well in work for about 8.5 months now, testing and innovating and developing and improving. So very big stuff coming up. Thank you very much for your support. I am also gonna air, of course, an interesting, cool video this month in July. It's pretty hot outside, and a lot of people are, of course, busy being outside and on holidays. But still, I'm gonna keep it going for you guys. And don't forget to browse through the channel. There's 140 videos now throughout all the different topics you can imagine, from knife making all the way to making your own bowl mates and chopping blocks and carving paddles and this and that, and there's more coming. So thanks very much. Thanks for the support. Stay healthy, stay apart, and I'm gonna see you next time. Cheers.